As we continue to explore what the Republican Party might look like after Donald Trump, one of the things that we can start to take a look at is how some of Trump's own allies are treating him now, when even some of the sycophants, some of the true believers, or at least apparent true believers that we thought would never turn on the guy, are starting to treat him kind of like crap because something big has changed. And I think a lot of people are missing it. So let's talk about it. For a bunch of years of MAGA and Trump, the story was pretty simple. Trump's the commander of the MAGA movement. He spoke and they followed. He tweeted and they scrambled. He insulted someone and the party line would just line up and defend it. That era is over. Now, not completely, but a year into Donald Trump's second term, it's a very different feel. Trump is not being treated like a leader to be followed off a cliff by elected Republicans anymore. Remember, we've already talked about the cultish nature of Trump and how all of this relates to the followers. But Donald Trump, by the Republican elected class, is being treated like a liability you have to manage. And you can see it if you stop listening to the words and you start looking at the body language and the pauses and the hedging. And so the Greenland fiasco is an interesting one. Trump goes to the World Economic Forum, confuses Greenland and Iceland 3 times, calls himself daddy to the Arctic, and starts threatening tariffs on Denmark. Classic Trump chaos, nothing new so far. But look at the Republican response. Back in 2017, Republicans would have turned this into a 10-point foreign policy doctrine based around the Greenland stuff, the Denmark tariffs, all of it. They would have gone on Fox News, explained why this is a genius idea. And now it's a little bit different. You've got a lot of people who are sort of like, Trump's got ideas, not clear if they're going to succeed. And you saw a little bit of that on Fox News. Of course, you have senators in the Republican Party like Lisa Murkowski and Tom Tillis who have moved way beyond this. And they are saying, we are not doing any of this. They want legislation to strip Trump of tariff authority. They said they would never allow any kind of resolution that would impose use of force on Greenland to go forward. So it's not necessarily Trump sucks. It's also not mild concern. It's here is what we are doing to take away Trump's ability and power to do A, B, and C, and here's how we're going to do it. So then we look at the interviews. When Republican leaders are asked about the Greenland doctrine or Epstein files or whatever Trump's latest tariff idea is, there's this lag. They kind of like pause for a second and you might go, oh, are they short circuiting? It's the pause sort of like of a daycare worker trying to explain to a toddler why throwing that block at little Susie's head wasn't okay. And this is kind of happening everywhere. On News Nation, we looked at clips. Trump asked about an American hostage in Afghanistan, Dennis Coyle, and the host very clearly says the name. And Trump goes, who are we talking about? Like his brain just isn't processing it. Then the surrogates go on TV and they're not saying, oh, Trump has a plan to get Dennis Coyle out. They say instead, oh, Trump's focused on the broader framework of global security. They don't defend the minutia anymore. They try to pivot and they try to get off onto different topics because they hear that Trump is talking nonsense and they realize they just can't launder it anymore. And by the way, it may not be good for them electorally to keep laundering it, as Donald Trump is going to be phased out as we approach 2029. And Republicans are going to have to figure out, what do our political lives look like after Trump? So it's important to pay attention to what they're not saying. And instead, and also pay attention to the corrections and the hedging and the way they talk around Trump instead of through him. So I believe that this is a core shift in how the Republican Party is now dealing with Trump. In a normal administration, the president is the source of decisions. He said it, okay, trickles down, we figure out how to defend it. Here it's a little bit different. You know, you got people like J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, the Republican Study Committee. They are kind of building a parallel policy framework that will likely diverge from Trumpism to the extent that Trumpism is policy as soon as Trump seems irreversibly weakened. Trump is weakened right now, but I think Republicans are still wondering, is it irreversible? Is this still the guy who's going to hold the cards in 2026 for our reelections? And the answer is he still might be. Once we get beyond 26, especially if Trump and Republicans lose the House, and that's a scenario we're going to dive deep into in a little bit, you are going to see a different approach for sure, where Republicans won't wait for orders anymore. They won't wait for the message that comes down from on high. They're going to say, let's build our own power centers. A lot of them, because they're so self-centered and egomaniacal, will say, maybe I could be the new power center post-Trump. So these are not loyalists in the cult way. Most of the cultists are not elected Republicans at the national level. Some of them are, but not all. Like Nancy Mace, I guess, is. And there are some. But the cultists are mostly in the followers. The electeds seem to know that this is strategy and tactics. And the moment your allies start treating you like someone who needs to be managed, that mystique of the strong man starts to collapse. Authoritarian leaders, if you look at history, have survived scandal many times. It's not unique that authoritarian leaders survive scandal. They can also survive incompetence. What they can't survive is being seen as weak, confused, or a liability to their own side. When the authoritarian is so strong that no one would dare cross him, well, that's one scenario. When the authoritarian is orange on some days, yellow on others, bruised hands, confused, disoriented, flipping back and forth from one policy to its opposite, you no longer are projecting that strength. You project weakness and confusion and being a liability. So don't expect Republicans are going to publicly rebel in large numbers all at the same time. If Fox News doesn't just fully turn on him and all of that, there's not going to be a moment where every Republican turns on the guy, but you're going to see the shifts. You'll see some Fox hosts start to question. You'll see the body language changes we've been seeing, the policy maneuvering, and quietly behind the scenes trying to figure out, how can I grab power for myself? This is the difference at the end of the day between a party that follows a leader and a party that is allowing the leader to keep speaking while they're building lifeboats overnight while the leader sleeps so that they're ready to hit that proverbial eject button. When the sycophants are planning for life after you, the clock is ticking. And I think it's very clear that that's what's going on right now with Trump. Now, let me ask you the following question. Other than the movement around J.D. Vance, which whether Trump supports Vance or not as the heir to the MAGA throne, there's a movement around Vance. It includes Peter Thiel, for example. I expect that to be a group of people that tries to sort of take the power. Who else do you believe is likely to try to take Trump's power as Trump phases out after the 2026 election? Is it Don Jr.? Is it going to be a member of the House, a member of the Senate? Is there a Republican governor? Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Of course, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. But leave me a comment. Where do you think the power center may lie in the Republican Party once Trump is gone? Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.